the Prison City Podcast. When the bars go up, you're officially locked in.
Welcome to the Prison City Podcast. I'm your unofficial host, Patrick W. Cutler. We got a banger of a show tonight. We have some updates on our Creepshow, the haunted house that was at the funeral home. It used to be a funeral home here in Deer Lodge, Montana, small community. Handful of people did not like that for some reason. So we got a follow of how that went this weekend over Halloween weekend. It was a crazy series of events to even update you on that. We have a couple topics tonight. I'm not going to name all of them at the bat, but one interesting thing I just picked up on the news headlines today is that the Kyle Rittenhouse case has gone to court, and it's interesting to see how that's starting to develop. And then one of the other ones I thought was really interesting, because I'm just doing random topics for tonight just to get something out there. There's a Netflix documentary out there that I don't know if people have caught on to. It's called Sexual Bodywork, and it's about, we'll get into it, about these people that do sexual things to other people and they pay for it. So prostitution. No, that's not it at all. But let's just go around the horn here and start with Matt. Welcome to this week's episode, Matt.
Yeah. Thanks for the invite once again this week. I think last week was a pretty hectic week for most of us here in town, with capitalized with an epic weekend in bad ways and good ways. But yeah, I think last week was like kind of a really busy week for a lot of us, and that added to some shitty ass technology problems, which I think I'm working fine now until my phone dies or something like that happens. But yeah, ready to go. Let's talk about it, Mahoney. Fill me in on the details.
Yeah, I don't think we had tech issues. I think Mike Freeze just wouldn't shut the fuck up. No. Just kidding. If you're listening, Mike, we're joking. You know we're joking. Fuck you. Just kidding. Only caught Pat Cutler. All right, here we go. I'm Mahomes.
All right, excited to be back. Really excited to hear kind of how everything went. Obviously, there's some big news out of there, unfortunate big news, but I'm excited to hear like how the overall totals were. I thought you guys presented yourselves really well on the news. So it's just funny how big this thing got, and now like probably everyone in town is over it already, I would guess. Maybe some people are still hanging on. So I'm very interested to hear how that's going. It was I'll tell you, I actually was at a funeral in Montana this weekend. My wife's grandpa passed away, so we were there, and I had run into some people that I knew, and they asked me if I knew anything about the Creepshow that was going on in Deer Lodge, and I said, oh yeah, I'm well aware. So you guys were making headlines all the way up in Great Falls, Montana this weekend.
I like that on. It's crazy, and we'll get into this. If you are on like this one news station, the stations in Montana kind of like team together a little bit. So if you're on in like the Butte news station, it freaking goes out to every news station in Montana. So like Kelly had people in Billings talking to him about it. Right, Kelly?
Yeah, absolutely. I got a text message. They said, "Hey, I just got to laugh at some of your quotes and things like that." Like I said, someone called me satanic, so that's off my bucket list. And that made headlines in Eastern Montana because he messaged me. He's like, "I just had to laugh." I was like, "Where are you now?" And he said he's in Billings. I was like, "Oh, what TV station?" Yeah, it was the Billings local TV station. So it was fucking crazy. But just to open the show, we just had the Chamber of Commerce dinner, and I just want to thank everyone for getting Business of the Year for selling Care Bears and iced tea out of the back of my grandpa's shed in the back of his yard. I've been in business for 3 months, and I've made $43.50. So thank you for recognizing me for that.
And that's a really interesting combination. What made you decide to go with Care Bears and iced tea?
I just think, people need to care more about what they're drinking, and it's just an alternate to alcohol. If you don't want to drink, come in here to my garage that my grandpa molested me in, and I will sell you some iced tea and a Care Bear. Yeah. Business is hopping. I might look at a small business loan. I don't know what they do for a gross income of $43.50, but we'll take a look.
I think you'll probably get a pretty hefty loan, I would imagine. Especially, what a story. What a story you have there.
In all honesty, back to the Creepshow. So I was at 4B's this morning, a restaurant here in Deer Lodge, eating breakfast with Marquise, our good actor buddy there. And some guy came up to me that I kind of know, and he sat down. He's like, "Just tell me." He goes, "Just tell me, did you guys Did you guys plan all that stuff? Did you I got to win a bet. Did you make all that shit up about the lady calling you satanic and stuff and getting on the news? He goes, you guys really planned all that out as a marketing ploy. I was like, God, I wish we did, but we didn't. And then Ron Scharf, who's Mr. Deer Lodge, he's owned all these businesses, Broken Arrow tonight at the Chamber Banquet. He came up and asked the exact same thing. He goes, Kelly, you gotta tell me something. I'm like, Ron, I wish I was that smart. I said, we didn't plan all that stuff. We just took advantage of the fucking thing.
Yeah. So just to recap our audience to just tune in tonight. So what happened was we did this creep show in the small town of Montana, and we just started advertising it because we decided to do it in this building. Used to be a funeral home, and it wasn't a big deal to anybody. Kelly actually got an email from somebody out there that has done creep shows or haunted houses in funeral homes. It's not a big freaking deal at all. People on Facebook and within the Deer Lodge community, and most of them live out of town. You go back a couple episodes and watch it. They made a huge deal about it. This huge Facebook post that just trended and it just went nuts, and tons and tons and tons of people saw this Facebook post. They just bashed the hell out of us, and it was just like they did these personal attacks on us. And I kind of play like the marketing for like shows, especially social media marketing is kind of my hand in a lot of these productions and things. That's kind of like what I mainly do. So I kind of looked at that and thought, is there a way that we can use this to our advantage? And is there a way we can start marketing it? And so we kind of brought it out first on this podcast. That was the first attempt. I was like, oh, let's talk about this or whatever. But since it went from like that to it went from people leaving like voicemails on our answer machines to people stopping our actors and actresses in like freaking like in public and stuff. And it just got so crazy that last week, we culminated with this voicemail of this lady saying we're doing satanic stuff. The blood of everyone that walks through those doors will be on your hands. Just fucking crazy shit. And then you think, and so we got together, me and Kelly got together with the KXLF TV station out of Butte, Montana. And he said, fuck, let's do a whole story. We said, hey, we got a really good story about this crazy stuff's happening with our creep show. You want to cover it? It got on that TV station, went viral across all the TV stations in Montana. And then the night of the very first pre-opening, we had a person get so fucking crazy about us doing this in a funeral home. They came over and tipped over our ticket booth we had spent all day working on. So they were like now physically attacking our stuff. So what I've done is I put it on here and I went on there and we kind of just took advantage of every single marketing opportunity we could for this. With that said, not a single one of these incidents happened were planned, but it just worked out perfectly for marketing. And basically this past weekend, our creep show at this old funeral home that was so controversial broke every fucking record we've ever had for a haunted house creep show. Crushed it, slammed it. And I'll give it to you, Matt, because Matt's head of the creep show. He organizes the creep show every year. How did you feel about crushing the records and destroying it?
Well, I just want to say, like, the people's bark was definitely a lot worse than their bite, because we had like nothing as far as like people approaching us or messaging us personally or people outside the place the entire weekend. Pretty much it went up without a hitch. And yeah, I guided Friday night. Kelly guided Saturday and Sunday. And I think Saturday and Friday were definitely our busiest nights. But to see the overall numbers, almost 800 people go through there, is kind of mind blowing, because you're taking tour after tour after tour. And kind of after a while, you're like, I don't really know or even care how many people are in this. But, as a guide like Kelly, I think he took like something like 25, 27 people through that place, which is a lot to get people through some of them spaces in basically a residential house that was formerly a funeral home.
Yeah, again, it is a residential house that was a funeral home. So it's like the space, if you walk through it, there's not that much space. We had it set up where it's like all these different little locations and stuff, and getting 25 people in one tour is freaking crazy, because we could barely fit 25 people just in the big garage areas where I was set up as a couple different characters. But yeah, Kelly.
I just start that. I didn't start guiding until Saturday night. I played Jason Voorhees the first night, which was a blast, and then Matt kind of took that over. I just wanted to try guiding, and so my first big tour like that, I came into the living room because there's a setup by like this creepy butler guy played by Wolfie Winters, and he sets it up, and then you come in for the initial scare. So I just remember coming around the corner in the dark and just seeing all these heads of people, and I was just like, holy fuck. So I'd always set up the tour, especially if it was a big one, by saying, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, blah, blah, blah. Please, the only rule is stick together as one big group, because we cram them into so many tiny spaces, so many tiny rooms. And yes, Mahoney, I made a ton of jokes about cramming into small, tiny places. One of my favorite jokes is in the downstairs room. I was like, everyone in, get in, nice and tight, nice and tight. Everyone nice and tight, unlike my ex-wife, nice and tight. And there's a bunch of one-liners, zingers like that. You know, horror movies have the comedy aspect too. But anyways, bringing these guys just into all these places, like, how do you show 25, 27 people everything they need to see? And within a couple of tours, you know, we really adapted. I adapted to make it work for everyone. And I didn't hear really anything negative about the show. To tell you the truth, I didn't hear anything negative about the show.
Is this how, like, so it's clearly a record, like I called it at the end of our episode last week, that this was going to be the biggest show you've ever had. Is how much did it beat the old record by?
I think it was, I haven't actually checked the old records, but I think it was close to over 300 people.
That is wild.
I crushed it.
So if you understand, like
man,
our play records for like a musical is like 800 something. This got like 783 people. And
this is just to go on the statistics, Pat. This record for Creepshow is like our third highest grossing show of all time.
That is insane. And I mean,
3 days.
This is easily the most talked about production you guys have ever had. Like,
yeah.
you went viral in state. Like, they all the people, like, it's just, you know, there's no such thing as bad press, and that, I think this kind of proves it. Like,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of people that, you know, it was a stroke of genius to do that news thing, and really the timing of you doing that with the timing of just the satanic voicemail, it was just like, what more could you ask for?
And if you the audience, if you want to hear the satanic voicemail, it actually premiered here live, because I had never heard that voicemail. Nobody last week had heard that voicemail before, and Kelly played it on this podcast, and I took that from the podcast, and that off this podcast ended up making the news across Montana.
That was insane.
The Prison City podcast still going viral.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, Mahoney, it was fucking huge. And I don't know, we've all been in productions before. You know, when you just get that euphoria, and we've talked about it, where you just have a show that you're like, bam, like, this is so fucking cool. You know, you have shows you hate, some shows you don't care for, and then just that one, not shows, I'm talking performances, like one night where just you click. Man, I tell you what, I could have done that Creepshow probably the entire month, because it was just clicking on all cylinders. So many people were seeing it. So many people were appreciating it. And I was like, this is what the fuck we're trying to do, is show people our creativity, you know?
So just,
yeah, well, I was just gonna say, just to add on to that, and I kind of want to fill Mahoney in to get a visual in for our crowd too. We did the funeral home's right next to the high school, and you have the whole high school parking lot there, which is a big parking lot. So it's kind of perfect. And when I was touring, doing the tour guide Friday night, you'd rotate, you know, one tour would go, then you'd have about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes kind of break. But I was looking outside at the parking lot, and like right during the busiest hours on that Friday night tour, it's like, it almost looked like a college football tailgate in a way. You know, you had people out there, kids talking around their, you know, adults, whatever, talking around their cars, bullshitting. Then you just see this flush of people going into the thing and outside. It's like, man, I've never seen that before at a production we've done, because we've never done it at a venue like this, you know.
yeah.
But like it was a fucking tailgate almost outside the parking lot.
And one more note on that too, about the parking lot. Like, the cops were well informed about this person that attacked the ticket booth, knocked it over. I mean, I called the cops, and I was just like, look, I'm not one to just like go on empty threats. Like, this person literally vandalized this thing, and we're kind of nervous. Like, we're talking like someone might bring a weapon to this. That's how serious it got. So on Friday night, it was the only time I saw it, but the parking lot's full. and I just see the cops coming past on several occasions, shining their spotlight through the fucking parking lot. And I was like, what the fuck have we created here?
It got that out of control. The cops are literally monitoring our creep show because of the threats that, and you can replay that clip. A lot of people say she was being theoretical with the Bible. I don't fucking know. When you say there's going to be blood on our hands for people coming through that door, that's not really something you should just randomly say to somebody.
Well, and again, like what better ambiance could you have for like people who are trying to like kind of getting hyped up to like go get a good scare, other than the police shining a spotlight through the freaking parking lot? You kidding me?
The place, man. And I want to add in to just get the perspective to our audience. Like, we've been doing plays for almost 20 years now, and this creep show has beaten every single play we've done in our history, except for like 2, attendance wise. This is the first production we've ever done, and it did it in 3 fucking days. And this is like the first production we've ever done where we had to turn people away because there just wasn't enough space to fit everybody in every tour. We had to turn people away Friday and Saturday.
That's wild. That's so wild. Oh,
yeah,
man.
Yeah. Some of that too is like people for whatever reason, they'll wait 3 hours in the prison, but would say like, okay, we can't get you in till 10:15. Oh, I don't want to wait that long. You know what I'm saying? All that shit was like, for the most part, like Pat said, it went over without a hitch. Everyone who wanted to go through got in.
Yeah.
Did you guys have anybody that was too scared to finish?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Sarah Tilley, Jim Tilley's wife, who's on this podcast once in a while. she I think it was Saturday night. She said, "What is this? Bring your toddler night?" Because it was like the first 2 hours, it was just kid after kid after kid losing their shit. Like I'm feeling bad as a tour guide. I'm like, oh my God, get your fucking kid out of here. This is terrible. This is fucking them up. But once again, it's a production. I'm in character. I can't alter what I'm doing,
Yeah.
I can't even make it like lax or mild or whatever. I'm just like, I'm going to do this how I do it, whether the kid's crying or not, just like a priest during church, you just keep rifling through.
Yeah.
But yeah, a couple people definitely left. I don't know how many, but definitely a couple people left.
What do you think was the scariest part, or will that mess up future productions by leaking that information?
Nah, I don't think so. I think everyone had a different scariest part. Like, I was talking to the bartender tonight, and her scariest part was Kelly was just saying was the Sarah Tilley part. But I want to say the majority would probably say the chainsaw at the very end.
Yeah.
Where
and Saturday night we set up a lot better. It was a lot scarier Saturday night because I changed my character to the Joker and everybody's attention. And then just, how the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre happens, where that door just slings open, that sliding door. So in the bottom of this funeral home, there was these 2 big garages, and one of the doors separated. It was a sliding door. So we just fucking made it look just like the movie where they're all looking at me, and all of a sudden this fucking sliding door comes open, and here comes fucking Leatherface, the chainsaw. It's creepy as fuck.
Yeah,
that's a good one. That's a good old fashioned jump scare right there.
Yeah, it was good.
It's hard to say, like scariest part. I think it was all scary. But for me, the biggest jump scare besides chainsaw was guiding. Like Matt said, with Sarah Tilley, she played the ring girl down in the basement. And no, you won't fuck up future creep shows because it changes every year. The theme changes. So we take them down, and it's in this tight room, smaller than the room behind me. Everyone's jam packed in, and I'd be like, okay, we need to find a way out of here. You're either with me or you're not. And then I'd open the door saying, I think there's a back hatch this way. And there's the TV, with the snowflakes. And she's sitting there watching it. So I bring him in a little bit, and I'd be like, okay, I've seen the ring. We don't want to do this. Let's get out of here. So we get back in the room, shut the door, and I'd be like, all right, we're going to go upstairs. If you're with me, great. If not, I'm running, okay? I go, because I'm not going back to this fucking thing. And I'd throw the door open, and the chair would be empty. And then 2 seconds later, she'd fly around the corner and just go. The whole fucking place would jump, man. They'd hit the roof. So that was awesome. The biggest jump scare for what I could see.
No, it was really.
Besides that,
yeah, I was gonna say, your house is
dog just gave birth. Yeah, fuckhead.
No, it was freaking crazy. So we fought through all that stuff, and Sorry, I just have to give an update. So there's a mayor race in Deer Lodge tonight, and I just asked one of the candidates that's like he's one of the two people on the ballot running for mayor here. And I'm like, so how or when do you get the results of the mayor race tonight? You know what his response was? No idea. Aren't you supposed to be like the next mayor?
Hey, it sounds like Chris Farley and Black Sheep. Who won the election? No idea.
I'm just gonna walk into City Hall tomorrow and say I'm mayor.
I can give you some breaking news. The Atlanta Braves are your World Series champions.
Hey,
Yeah.
Boo.
what was the last score, man?
Boo.
7-0.
Okay.
7-0.
For those of you that don't know, which is literally everybody watching the podcast right now, Atlanta Braves literally ruined my childhood as a kid, and I've never gotten over it.
Oh, the 90s fucking
Sucks.
team. Everyone who likes the
Fucking
Braves
sucks.
likes the Lakers, likes the Cowboys.
Yeah, Braves are the most.
You know,
annoying
all
team.
90s bullshit.
Can't
I
fucking
think
stand
most
the
of
Braves.
I feel like most of the Braves fans jumped on the Yankees bandwagon towards the end there.
Oh,
When
big time.
Yeah.
When the Braves started sucking, or the Braves never sucked. That's the thing. They're always been fucking good. They're always good. That's why it's like this year's playoffs just sucked. Just every annoying good team alive is in there.
My favorite quick story about the Braves is on our honeymoon, we went through Atlanta, so we went to the Braves game, and this was in May, so early. And Marissa and I snuck down like in the outfield real low. And this place was packed, like COVID and everything. It was packed, like sold out. I sat by this diehard Braves fan, and we just started talking about it. It was the same guy that I said, what about the Falcons Super Bowl? He's like, we don't talk about that here. So I'm just like, what's the Braves' chances of like win the World Series? He's like, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good. Then I just talked to him. I'm like, you never know. Any team could win the World Series. So I wonder if that guy ever thinks about the guy from Montana he sat next to for 5 innings, because we talked about it all night.
That's funny.
I bet you he does.
I bet he's thinking about you right now as he's spilling Michelob Ultra all over himself.
You have to have that correction. Is any team that has a shitload of money can win the World Series. If you don't, you can't.
Well, what's the Braves have for a salary, Pat? Are they pretty up there?
They were 12th. They were the 12th team. They were just above that mark. So what happens is, folks, if you don't follow baseball that closely and team salaries, no team outside the top 12 in salary in baseball has won the World Series since 2003 Florida Marlins. That was the last team to do it. So whenever I see the playoffs come out, I just go down and say, okay, are they top 12 in salary or are they not? If they're not top 12 in salary, I just cross them off the playoff board immediately, because there's zero chance they're going to win. The Braves topped out right at 12. I mean, again, the Giants have won it with the 11th or 12th best, but the Braves don't have like shit talent. They have like Doc Peterson. I've seen their Freddie Freeman. They have a bunch of fucking talent. They paid guys to come play there.
And what's crazy is, I would say kind of inarguably their best player, Ronald Acuna, isn't even playing. He hurt his leg. Their best player missed most of the second half. So they have a ton of talent. Their pitching stacked. Freddie Freeman won the MVP last year in the short season. Their shortstop, Dansby Swanson, was the #1 overall pick a few years ago. Like they're loaded.
Hey, Mahoney, I almost just dropped $500 on the Astros to score 1 point in the ninth. But I didn't do it. Was that a good non-bet, would you say?
Yeah, that was that's better than lighting $500 on fire for sure.
I was gonna say, Kelly, what are you gonna do about sports betting now that baseball's over, man?
Well, let's just say, man, it's McDonald's for about 4 months. So you guys, I'm fucked.
Just start to get super into to college basketball.
I do like college basketball. That might be number 2. But as far as sports betting, man, I can't track it like the MLB. That's the only thing like I'm pretty consistent on.
There was this guy I used to work with a long time ago that would be like, he'd come up to people in the morning and be like, "Hey man, so what do you know about the Portland State girls basketball team?" Like, how are you even finding the money line on that thing, man?
God, that's weird. Yeah. You're really. I mean, there's people, because I went deep in when I was in Alaska. I went deep into sports betting, and there's people that they will find an edge, a slant, whatever you want to call it. How to get an edge on a game by knowing certain things. There will be people out there that will find some fucking edge out of nowhere on a college basketball game you've never heard of, and it'll hit, like it'll completely smash it. They'll just crush it. Be like, holy fuck! But
wow.
Yeah. So Well, now that we're moving on here, let's go down the topic list I have kind of for tonight. So this thing just gets bigger and bigger. And at first, when I saw it, I did not know what the fuck they were talking about. But now it's like, no matter where you go, you're starting to see this fucking everywhere. It doesn't mean you're watching news or not, but I'm talking about the viral "Let's Go Brandon" fucking slogan. And does anybody know what this thing is even about?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Describe it. Is like the original story or like
what is the actual story of the "Let's Go Brandon"? I just see it constantly.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I believe it was at NASCAR, something like NASCAR, and they were interviewing this driver, and everyone behind him was shouting "Fuck Joe Biden" as we're seeing across the nation in college football stadiums and stuff. So fuck Joe Biden, and then the newscaster diverted that to, because the guy's name was Brandon. She's like, "Oh, they're saying let's go Brandon, let's go Brandon." So then it just took off to "Let's go Brandon." So basically, "Let's go Brandon" means fuck Joe Biden. And one of the funniest things was tonight, one of the like elderly people at the Chamber of Commerce dinner came up to me. It was doing the invocation, the opening prayer. I was like, "Do you know, like, did you plan for this? You know what you're going to say?" He's like, "I think I'm just going to say, let's go Brandon." And I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Holy shit, man. Way to be up with the current comedy events." But yeah, that's what it is.
Let's say right after that, he said the traditional Catholic,
bless the Lord.
Bless the Lord, at least I guess,
Yeah.
That's funny. That guy's way more hip than me. I've seen like "Let's Go Brandon." I had no idea what the fuck it was. I assumed based on context clues, I was like, I don't know, is like Brandon one of Biden's long lost sons that was some sort of fuck up or something? I don't know what the.
No, it just means fuck Joe Biden. That's literally what it means.
Just go on YouTube and see. Go on YouTube. They clearly say and fuck Joe Biden, but
it's the biggest. And again, I had no clue. I just know I see it constantly. People send me stuff constantly. I see the "Let's Go Brandon" constantly. It's the biggest. "Let's Go Brandon" is the biggest since viral political chant slogan, whatever you call, that I've ever seen. That was just like a makeshift slogan out of nowhere. Like I've never seen anything take off like that before in my life.
They're already selling like T-shirts and shit for it.
It's like
it's really funny, actually, especially like hearing how it all started. Like basically someone innocent, and now it's turned into like it's in this world that we live in that everyone's like so either far right, far left, non-PC. It's like hilarious that they came up with a secret "fuck you" chant. Like it's pretty funny.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
It's so crazy because it's such a random like fucking thing. Like that is the most random thing, and I can imagine. And when it first started out, I saw it. I did actually do some research. Kelly's talking about the NASCAR thing. I did the basic research. I saw it a bunch. I honestly thought, oh, that's just a funny thing that happened this weekend. It's trending on Twitter, so it's gonna die. Nope.
No, it's as big as hashtag Me Too right now.
And the Braves are World Series champions.
Sorry.
That's what I just told you, man. I've
Who you
already broke that news.
Who are you talking to?
I thought I muted, man. I don't even know how to fucking mute it. Never mind. I don't fucking know it.
It's like the Truman Show, Pat. Who are you talking to?
who are you talking to?
You're a part of this, aren't you?
I come up behind Matt with a 6-pack of beer. Truman. Not here.
God.
Yeah, it's really creative, actually. I mean, yeah, you're right, Pat. I don't know how it took off, but it's really like creative. It's like everyone's saying something in Pig Latin or Spanish or something, and everyone knows what it means. It's like, and I think I had asked too. I saw the clip, but I had to ask before that because I started seeing it like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, what does that mean? Like, explain that to me.
Yeah, it's just so, it's like it's such a fucking weird thing. It is so weird because yeah, I know. And the reason that I think it works so well is because, like Mahone said, it's you could say "fuck you, Joe Biden," and yet it doesn't have one cuss word or anything derogatory in it at all. It's like such a creative thing.
I think.
I'll tell you what.
Go ahead, Monty.
If Joe Biden had any sort of sense of humor, he would like have some random guy named Brandon with him at all of his speaking engagements.
He should wear that shirt. Let's go, Brandon.
Oh, and here's Brandon.
How much hate there was for Trump and now this Biden thing, it just makes me realize that I feel like Americans are just like fucking done with all the horse shit. We're just like, no, fuck you. Like we've been saying on this podcast since we started, we want to enjoy our football and our weekends. We don't want you stupid politicians trying to stir up controversy in every fucking thing you do. And that's what I see out of it. It's just a big fuck you. Not even just fuck you to Joe Biden, but a fuck you to the entire system. Just like we're done with this bullshit, you know?
Yeah. I had a special moment today. It was voting day here in Nebraska, and I wrote my wife in as one of the candidates.
It's voting day here in Nebraska. Hey, did the Cornhuskers get a win? No, Purdue came back and beat their ass, didn't they?
Yeah. Purdue's just got talent, and Nebraska just doesn't. So
well, no, now you're best friends with Scott Frost. What did he say to you yesterday about the game?
No, he said he was like, well, I guess I'm not nearly as good as Tom Osborne, so I probably won't run for senator.
So doesn't Martin Reestead live down there in Nebraska, Omaha? You know?
Yeah, but he lives in places, you know, that are CIA protected, so we can't even really talk about it.
Hey, let's update the election results. There's a big election in Virginia for the governor race. There's a big election down there in Nebraska. And then there was the mayor election in Deer Lodge, where one of the candidates has no idea when the results are coming out, if they're coming out.
It's always good to know. It's like fantasy football. You don't want to check the score until all the bullshit's done.
There might be some defensive changes in scores.
I still have not responded to that message. I'm not sure how I should respond to that.
No, it doesn't breathe a whole lot of confidence in a potential mayor. I don't know. Sometime, shit. I guess I'll find out when I find out.
What is Mahoney? What is Mahoney? Sorry, Pat. I was just gonna say, Mahoney. What is from your perspective, mayor in Deer Lodge mean? Really, can you really do much, or is it just like someone who gets elected and just gets bitched at all the time? No?
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much like when I think of the mayor of Deer Lodge, I think of people that like are generally kind of liked before they're the mayor, and then everyone fucking hates them as soon as they're the mayor.
I just I look at this and I think it's just funny, and I'm not trying to make fun of anybody in Deer Lodge here, as I literally do that, but I'll have people come up to me and be like, yeah, guess what I'm gonna do? I was like, what? Run for mayor. Yep, they're gonna make some huge changes. I heard someone say they don't know what the Constitution is. Let's go, Brennan. Yep. It's like, so realize that like the mayor position doesn't really have that much power.
I hope the mayor's speech, I hope they add "Let's go, Brandon" in there. Oh fuck, that'd be epic.
I'm just saying, if you were running any political race, say I don't care what the fuck political race, wouldn't that be like the first question when you sign up or before the night of the race? Wouldn't that be something you ask, like, okay, when will I know the results? How will I get to know the results? Like,
hey, so I'm doing this thing. I kind of spent some money on like the campaign and stuff. So when will I know if I won or not? I don't know, man. It's in God's hands now.
It's like, what if you're like head coach, you're Dan Campbell, head coach of the Lions, and you're like, oh, just cover the scoreboard up. We'll just figure out what happens at the end. So you do the entire game like, man, I think I'm really closer. They reveal the scoreboard's 44-6. Ah, shucks.
Oh man, I would love that. If I had a magic ball just telling me the score every fucking Sunday, I wouldn't have to waste my time. Be like, okay,
Yeah, well, to get the right answer, Matt, you'd be shaking that ball more than you do your dick, dude.
Nice.
Matt, you need to watch. You need to go through those emotions of like having a tiny bit of hope to start the game, and then just have your soul crushed every Sunday. That's what being a fan's all about.
Didn't the Falcons get a win this weekend, man?
Oh no.
Oh, they didn't.
I just say if the scoreboard was covered, can you imagine like a coach like Dan Campbell, who's just, they clearly got their ass kicked. He's like, you just look at the scoreboard at the end when they finally reveal, I bet we're really close here, guys. I bet we're really close.
Well, it's like Butch coaching the Wardens too. He go into halftime down 30. Let's make this the greatest Warden comeback ever. Kelly's like, well, why did you say that? Like, what are you supposed to say? You guys suck.
Down by 30.
Don't get beat by 60.
Hey, Pat, what's up in that? I know it's probably not on your agenda, but what's up in that Virginia race, man?
All right, here. Let me. I want to show the "Let's Go Brandon" video really quick. So this is the official video with the captions on it, so everybody can watch this, and then and we'll move on from that. It's just you gotta watch the original video again. It's pretty freaking hilarious. I'm gonna put this on here.
Let's see if he actually shows the video or if it's just Esteban again.
Yeah.
Just a moment there.
Oh my God, it's just such.
Oh shoot.
Did you not close out of your tabs earlier?
Let me actually show.
Oh my God.
All right, here we go. Can you see that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Definitely Pornhub.
Oh my God, it's just such an unbelievable moment.
Brandon, you also told me, as you can hear the chants from the crowd, let's go, Brandon. Brandon, you told me those first two stages and just watch and learn. What did you learn that helped you there in those closing laps?
Oh my God, it was
You can really hear it good there.
Each line didn't stay to one. And everything shifted top to bottom so much.
Yeah, that's Let's Go Brandon. All right, plain as day.
You like how the captions on that thing, they keep going with the "Let's Go Brandon" on the captions, although it's clearly they're not saying that.
Actually, shout out to that news lady for being quick on her feet with the ad lib.
I was gonna say
big
she
time.
needs a raise, man. Honestly.
Why? The other part is she didn't even have to even acknowledge the crowds. I mean, she's asking the questions. I'm not sure why. I don't. But again, maybe they had an earpiece in her ear and say, "Hey, we're picking up that fuck Joe Biden in the background." Could you say it's not? They're not saying that.
Well, I hear she didn't know. Like that's what she actually thought they were saying. Yeah. So I don't. That's just what I heard. Like she thought they were actually saying that, but I don't know. You know, it's media, so you never know.
Yeah. The comment section's hilarious. She has no idea what she created.
She should definitely get some residuals out of all those T-shirts and coffee mugs that are going out the door right now.
Such a silly fucking clip to just go crazy like this.
Well, isn't that good for the sport though? It's like Creepshow. Isn't that good for NASCAR? That happened at a NASCAR fucking. You know?
But then they actually watched NASCAR and realized it's still boring as fuck.
Yeah.
Well, I disagree. Robin's racing.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. I have no clue what's going to go viral anymore. I guess if we knew, we'd do it. But you look at some of this shit throughout our tenure on YouTube, you know, for the last 15, 20 years, the shit that's gone viral is just like the stupidest shit you can imagine. Like, what was the little girl on Dr. Phil? You want to fire me? How about now?
Oh, yeah.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Yeah. How about that? How about that shit going viral? Like for no reason, or the one I shared, I think, to a group that we're all in, the guys that are like rapping, you know, Island Boys. Do you see that one?
Oh yeah.
They're talking about them getting like fucking like a record with a major distributor of music, and they just got on there like high out of their minds.
Yeah, but they did it. You know, they fucking did it. And most people get high out of their minds and like, yeah, this would be awesome. And like, no, I'm just gonna sit on my couch. But they actually fucking went out and did it. So good for them, I guess.
Yeah, and sadly, man, I spent last night watching YouTube videos on those guys, like interviews and shit, and they're just like, we love the rap and we love the music.
Yeah, just say, sadly, I spent last night high on my couch and I could have been doing something productive.
Could have been singing Island Boy.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure the Island Boys were just high in a pool. That's all. Just different location.
Mahoney, we got to release the video of my bachelor party when you were in the hot tub, right?
No. Oh, yes.
Oh, God.
No. I don't think that would be a good idea. Yeah.
Is there a video of that?
I hope not.
I don't think there is, honestly.
I would hope not. Most people were barely clothed, so I hope people didn't have like video going during that.
But let's just say it would have went viral.
Yeah. There's a bunch of bad reasons, but yeah, probably would.
Hey, so you want to check in on the governor race, Kelly?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of saw a little bit, but what's going on now?
I haven't followed this at all, by the way. The Republican Youngkin, 51.2%, and the Democrat McAuliffe or whatever, 48.1%, 95% in it. It's looking like the Republican's going to win that. And then the Republican is also winning the New Jersey governor race, 50.4 and the 48.8. I'll just give my quick analysis of this before everybody goes hog wild on this I'm speaking more to like conservatives going hog wild. Every fucking time one like president wins, whether it's Democrat or Republican, the opposite party always fucking wins like the next races. Like it always flips the other direction. So to me, there's really nothing surprising about this. There's no big statement to take from this. There's nothing big happening with people changing how they vote. And nothing big at all. It's just that the 2020 election was clearly rigged. All right, go ahead, Kelly.
But even in Virginia, New Jersey, that's not a big deal. Like
governor races are different because Chris Christie is it depends where you are. Like if you're like in fucking Hawaii or Alaska, yeah, you're fucked if you're a Democrat or a Republican. But so I just saw another thing. Pittsburgh, which is kind of one of the places I call home. Pittsburgh will have its first black mayor ever. That's really cool. Do you think he knows when the results are going to come in, Mahomes?
I would guess. I would hope that he probably has a pretty good idea of like when the results are and what what being the mayor would be all about and what kind of powers they do and don't have. Yeah.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's a little bigger than George, but I was just interested in that. But New Jersey had Chris Christie was the New Jersey governor for a long time, and then Virginia used to be a redder state, and then it kind of went blue, and then. So it's not totally, unless it's like super, super conservative or liberal, like Alaska versus New Jersey, anybody of any political party can kind of win the mayor's race, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, but have they counted the votes from the Dominion voting machines yet, though? Because that usually swings at about 12 points.
Kelly, way too soon.
Way too soon.
Yeah, Mahomes, you never used a Dominion system there in Nebraska, did you?
Nope. No, I just dropped my ballot in today.
Hey, Mahoney, that voting system in Nebraska is really strange because it's like, half the state or whatever. They do it really strange there with the caucus. Can you go into detail explaining that system since you live there and know about it?
Well, I think, I would, but I think I've kind of made my stance clear on politics and how much I care about them. I vote in these particular elections. The main thing I vote on is, hey, do we need to pass this school levy, or hey, we voted to raise your taxes without you guys knowing about it. Should we keep this tax or not? Those are the things I really care about. If it's a mayor or a school board, or I don't care. Whatever happens to whoever I vote, it doesn't matter. Everything's going to be the exact same. There's still going to be the same
up there from San Diego from last week. You just moved to Nebraska.
Well, no, I was just visiting family in San Diego. There's some family and friends down there.
Okay. My bad.
For 5 fucking months.
Well, I work remote. With the residuals of COVID still going pretty strong in Nebraska. I work remote. It's just back. I like to be back a little more. San Diego's a little too much of a big town for me, so I like to kind of be back in Nebraska where people just let me be.
Hey, did you see Mike Freeze in Los Angeles when you were down there?
No, I avoided Los Angeles. I didn't want to get too caught up in all the conspiracies that happens the minute you set foot in Los Angeles. So.
I heard Lincoln, Nebraska has a hell of an alien show on top of a haystack that we should watch tonight.
Yeah, it's absolutely, and it's for sure. You could see it. It wasn't just like on the news. You could see it from other people.
Did you see the satanic symbolism in it?
I can't say I did, but I don't know Satanism enough to know what symbols I'm supposed to be looking for, to be really honest.
So on to our next topic here. I'm gonna screen share this one actually here again, and we're gonna go on to this is kind of a controversial topic. It's called sexological bodywork sex therapy that is illegal in 49 states. And I'm gonna share my screen here, and I'll give you the gist as you can kind of read as we go along here. But Netflix did a documentary. Now I fucking want to go home and watch this because there's two girls kissing and making out, which is super fucking odd if you're single as fuck. But I hate the way that.
And I think if you know, and this is just something this isn't for me, this is for our listeners. Which state is it not illegal in? Just so everyone can know.
Nevada.
Oh. Nevada? Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, no. Sorry about that. It's actually California.
That makes sense too.
Yeah, that's why Mike Freeze is down there. Jeez. But a Goop, it's called a Goop with a P, not with never mind. A therapist performs psychological bodywork therapy. Is illegal in 49 states. It involves penetration. So what happens here, and you can again read along as you're going down here. Basically what happens is the way they describe it is a lot of people grow up in these super religious households where they just condemn sex so bad, like it's a terrible fucking horrific thing. So psychologically, a lot of people, both male and female, are kind of traumatized for that. And there's the guy that invented it actually did it for people who had AIDS and stuff like that. It's kind of a weird thing, but basically they try to like play with your thingy to get you aroused and make it a safe situation so that you could be comfortable when you orgasm. Does that make sense for you, Mahomes?
Yeah, I guess there's kind of a lot to digest there.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to watch this documentary. This is really too interesting. But this one, Chandra grew up in a conservative home of Jehovah's Witnesses, where the word sex wasn't okay and where depictions of lesbianism were deemed gross. Dashana Avila, an erotic wholeness coach, that sounds like a cool job, and sex bod practitioner, said that upbringing likely contributes to the pain Chandra feels during penetration. So it's a psychological thing where she's having pain that's psychologically triggered, not really physically triggered, but anyone that goes near her area. Well, anyways, this kind of generalized pain is not necessarily because there's a physical brokenness or problem or injury. Oftentimes, it's a physical response to the psychological imprinting. The shame freezes her body, locks her body in its protective measures. This is just a psychological kick to anything that you've had traumatized in your life. It's kind of like the same concept here. She puts her gloved hand on Chandra's pubic mound. The mound, I believe, is just above the vagina, dropping onto her vulva and then stroking her labia, checking in with Chandra throughout. How would you feel about me placing my finger at the entrance of your vagina? Avila said next. At first, Chandra noticed some pain, but it subsided. Then Avila lessened the pressure. Eventually, Avila moved her finger in further, and Chandra teared up, realizing she was relaxed and pain-free. It felt great. It's hard to explain. I was just focusing on myself, enjoying where I was at the moment. It's amazing. Camila had an orgasm unlike any other. Avila began with a pubic massage. It became clear Camille, or whatever, liked the feeling of compression on her vulva. At Camille's request, Avila began using a vibrating toy, which Camille requested go deeper. When Camille orgasmed, she teared up too. What do you think about that?
So that's different. That's a pretty unique story that's on the internet, certainly. So Goop is, I know this, Goop is Gwyneth Paltrow's whole thing. Like, she started the company. It's a magazine. It's kind of like a lifestyle. They sell candles that smell like her vagina, apparently. It's a weird setup. I don't know, man. I don't really know what to say about that. Like, I guess if it's helping people, that's great. It seems, I can understand why people would think it's controversial, I guess, is what I will say.
Yeah. I guess my thing is, my take is the same as prostitution. If two parties consent to something, this sounds to me very. It seems no different than a fucking medical operation. This is just my opinion. Than someone going in and getting their whatever those fucking checks are called. I can't remember what are those checks called, Kelly.
Pap smear or whatever.
Yeah. I've been single for like 18 months. I can't remember that shit. To me, it's like, okay, what's the fucking difference, really? I mean, if someone's doing it voluntarily and they're not, I don't see what the fucking difference. What do you think?
Well, my question is, how do you come across this shit? You're just scrolling through Facebook and here's an ad for Goop. Let me take a look at that. Or what? Where'd you find this shit?
Days like today. So I one of my social things I do mostly still is probably Twitter. And Twitter, when you're on your computer, like today, I'll go on Twitter just to find trending stuff, to find something interesting. And it was on my Twitter feed at the very top. So I was like, okay, let me click on this and check it out. And that's where I found it. So it is currently trending on social media.
Well, I saw a lot of Providence medical ads on there. You know what I'm saying? And that's a pretty legit site to go to, Providence Medical. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when I saw that, I was like, oh shit, I thought this shit was just pulled out of Pat's ass. No pun intended.
Oh, you didn't see this one coming?
The Goop was pulled out of Pat's ass.
Yeah, just weird. Yeah, like Kelly said, just weird shit you find on the internet. Like, I didn't even know this existed, but whatever. It's cool.
You weren't prepared to talk about the Goop, Mahomes?
No, I can't say that I was prepared. I can't say that I knew that like sex therapy was. I mean, I knew there was like different kinds of sex therapy, not like hands-on, I guess. I didn't know that was a thing. But yeah, okay. To your point, if this is something that people are consenting to and they are doing it and they think it's helping them, then by all means.
Well, why is it illegal? Is it like prostitution, or why is it illegal if someone's like literally probably paying to do this? You know, so why?
They're trying to categorize it in the same categories like prostitution. Another thing that left out of the article I didn't say is most of these people, because I can't speak for everybody, but most of them have like years of actual training in doing this stuff. So it's not just some like random person off the street that just puts on a glove and just starts fucking massaging your vagina. Like, so I mean, there are like certification stuff like that. This is where I feel too, is like if you're gonna have something like this, you can always make it legal. You can always make marijuana legal and tax it and regulate. You can always make this legal, put up certifications or whatever, and say you have to be certified to do this. It's not just random shit, and make it legal. But I think the idea that they're making people orgasm and stuff, and that's what makes it sexual, close to prostitution, because you're paying for a service and you're orgasming. That's where I think they see it.
You're basically saying this flies under the table with like those extreme haunted houses where they do shit like pull you by the hair and fucking, you know what I'm saying? Pretty much torture you and mentally traumatize you. You know what I'm saying? Those extreme ones where they get away with it and they're like, oh, it's legal because we're not actually doing that and it's all in their head or all this shit. You know, in a way, kind of. Right, Mike Freeze?
I don't think I've heard of a haunted house like that.
I actually was going to compare it more to like the massage parlors where they ask if you want to make the banana cry at the end. I think that's more of like a...
Well, that haunted house that Matt's talking about is actually one of them's in San Diego. Did you ever go to that one, Mahogany?
McCamney Manor.
I've heard they have those where you have to like sign a waiver before, and there's one that like no one's ever fully completed because it's so crazy.
That's what I'm talking about.
The one thing that I find interesting though, Pat, to your point, like if there's people trained in this, like how do you get trained? This is such a niche thing. Like
they trained on themselves growing up through puberty.
It's a weird deal, but if it's helping people and people are signing up for it, I guess.
I don't think it's right. I mean, I don't know if right's the word, but like growing up and you hit puberty and stuff, you know, we go through some really weird, radical changes, and for someone to be like, you know, that's wrong 24/7 and not, you know, don't do that. I don't know. Maybe abstinence is possible. I guess it is, you know, in some communities, the monk community and nuns and shit like that. But even there, you know, people break the rules. But that just seems really, that seems really strange to me. Like the whole forced, not even having sex, but don't touch yourself, don't think these thoughts. Like if these thoughts are so strong, like so fucking strong, why isn't that just part of human biology?
That's just say that's human fucking nature. It's like, okay, why are we, you know, if we're all created from whatever you believe in, it's like, why do we have those traits, and why do we have a sense of humor? You know, if you believe in God or whatever, why did God give us a sense of humor? You know what I'm saying? Because like even in the worst tragedies, still you're like, oh my God, this would be a hilarious joke, but it's so inappropriate. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, because we weren't wired as, you know, fucked up kids or whatever, but it's like, why do we have that urge to say something we should have just because, man, this is funny in this horrible situation? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And did God put a line down the middle of a sense of humor too? Like, this can be funny, but this can't be funny. You know, it's like we can only go PG, which is something humans created. You know, how far can your sense of humor go until it's verging on, you know, something else? It's not, you know, not like the creator or whatnot.
Yeah. I just want to add on there. The practitioners of this also undergo 1 to 3 years of training in anatomy, human sexuality, consent, trauma, and the social dynamics of our sex lives. And there's another thing here up here. Sexual bodywork, also called somatic sex education, can help clients feel safer in their bodies, learn what feels good to them, heal from trauma, whether emotional or physical, like childbirth, and explore their erotic potential, according to the Association of Certified Sexological Bodyworkers. So that's where I say, you know, if you're certified by like an association stuff and it's accredited and all these different things, and well, honestly, I don't see what the problem is if you're not certified either. But I don't see a problem with prostitution, to tell you the truth.
Well, didn't they just have something in the sports where the massage therapist went too far and started like stroking out the players or something? Some sports team or some shit.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about that, but Deshaun Watson is accused of like kind of the other way, like by multiple massage therapists.
You know, you hear all about the massage therapist that told Deshaun Watson no, but you never hear about the ones that told him yes.
Interesting stance to take on that.
Are we verging on talking about Larry Nassar again?
No, let's
that podcast.
Watson did some fucked up shit. That's clear. He did some bizarre shit there. That's pretty obvious that he did it.
But did he do some goop shit?
I don't know. He could be the new Dolphins quarterback soon, though. So
I hope.
Here, I'm going to share this article now, and this goes a little bit deeper into the sexual body work.
Oh shit!
This is where it gets a little weird here. The profession.
Now's where it gets weird.
Yeah, just now, huh?
The professional sexological body work was developed by Dr. Joseph Kramer out of Taoist traditions as a way to help HIV positive men experience safe touch and healing in the wake of the HIV/AIDS epidemic of the 1980s. Initially, it was called sacred intimacy. Early versions of the method of sexological work included higher levels of interaction between the educator and the student. A sacred, intimate practitioner might have sexual experiences with the client, similar to that of a surrogate sexual partner, but a more spiritual as opposed to practical approach. That's a little weird. Who thinks that's a little weird?
Yeah, I guess that I have more questions than answers at this point. That's kind of where I'm at. I get like Kelly's point, like when someone's harping on you your whole life that this is wrong. There's certainly there's a tie with your head and your body and how that reacts. So I get where they're coming from. But like a sexual surrogate partner, that's an interesting one.
Okay, so let's go into that a little bit. So here, I'll pull up the site here. A sexual surrogate partner. There was a movie I watched several years ago. It had, I think it was Helen Hunt, and she had sex with. She was a sexual surrogate, and she had sex with a person that was severely disabled. You know the movie X-Men, the guy that plays Magneto and all those ones. No, not Magneto, but Professor X.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart, right?
Stewart, yes, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
No, in the newer ones.
Oh, fuck.
That guy, he was actually in it, and he plays this guy who's completely paralyzed from like the neck down, and he's a writer and all this shit. And they hire what is a woman that's a sexual surrogate to not teach him how to have sex, but to basically have him experience sex as someone who's completely disabled. So that's how sex surrogates work. Is they're introduced originally by pioneer gynecologist Dr. William Masters and sexologist Virginia Johnson to help men overcome sexual dysfunction. Currently, sex surrogates work with both men and women. In surrogate partner therapy, the sex surrogate takes a client through a multi-step process, beginning with the very basic tools of communication and touch. Surrogate therapy can include mutual nudity and two-way touch, as well as manual, oral sex, or sexual intercourse, or other forms of sexual help, like experimental sex coaching or therapy that can be accessed directly. So this just gives you more and more links, and this rabbit hole's going to go on forever.
Well, like, have you ever seen the Stephen Hawking movie, The Theory of Everything?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so apart from that, they're like, okay, how do you, get it up and stuff? You want to have sex with your girlfriend? And he's like, well, basically all automatic. And that dude was paralyzed from the whatever eyebrows down, or, you know what I'm saying? So I just remember that from that movie, saying like, yeah, it kind of works automatic, I guess. I don't know. Fuck me, right?
You can all go suck a bag of dicks. Matt's sign off last week.
Yeah, that was nice. That was good. I think that should be your sign off every week.
One thing I want to say about that is, like, sex is not taught. Like, you could say, oh yeah, in school we learned about the girl parts and the boy parts, and you have sex, you have a baby and everything. But dude, it's to high school students, it's a fucking joke. Like, all we do is joke about it, and then we don't know shit about it. And then you go into, a relationship and stuff, and it's just hard because we're so drastically different, males and females. It's like, it's hard to know what exactly you do. And even the most confident people are like, I kind of think this is how this goes, But sex is just such a weird subject because it's like combining two different planets, people from two different planets. I mean, Venus and men are from Mars, So it's like, I don't know how to teach that because young kids don't take it serious. I mean, I think there might, maybe should be a college course where you're a little bit more mature to learn about that shit. But sex is a tough topic to learn about.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a tough topic. You're not wrong. It's a tough topic because it's hard to teach kids to take it literal. And then, people will, what the like high school age boys will look at is porn. And that's not like a realistic sexual experience. 99% of the time it's, especially the stuff we had growing up, the blurry Cinemax on Saturdays is what I heard. I don't know. I didn't experience that, but I heard people had that experience.
I just say, do you think that in a way is affecting society too? Because yeah, like you just said, Mahoney, if you wanted to get that shit, you kind of had to work for it in a way,
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's that onto your fingertips.
Yeah, you could be watching it in class.
I don't think
sex is
everything, in society. There's so much more, like Pat and I mean, you guys probably know by now about sex transmutation, taking that energy and putting into other things. I think there's so many variables to life to explore. And that's why I think pornography and shit like that is so bad, because it's just like alcohol or cigarettes or anything or drugs. It's like, if you put all your eggs into this basket, it's going to be a bad thing. But there's so many other things to explore in life and intelligence and to think about and wisdom that I think sex gets way too much exposure, and people just don't know how to handle it at all because it's such a complex thing that nobody studies. They just go, oh, I think I touch this and lick this and then boo-hoo, ooh, we got kids,
That was you should make that a clip.
That's right. God, where are
you
we
should
at?
Make that a clip of the teaser for this fucking episode.
We're an hour. I'll put that an hour and 4 minutes in. I'll mark it that an hour and 4 minutes in.
You touch this, you lick this, and boo-hoo, we got a kid.
If that that one clip last week I put up on my page or whatever and shared it on my profile got a shitload of views. So I mean, I might start doing that every week. Get a really good sound bite, especially maybe one of Matt's sign off sound bites one of these times.
Yeah, do it.
But I don't want to go too. Sorry, one last thing, Pat. I don't want to go too deep into that, but we all grow up hitting puberty, and you get weird, and you do certain things, and then you get with a partner, and it's like, oh, that was a toothy blow job, or that was a grainy hand job and shit. It's like I'm just saying. I think there's so much that goes into it. It's like, how can you fucking be an intellectual on this shit because it's so fucking complicated. Hey, you brought it up, asshole. Don't fucking kill the
That was a grainy hand job. I don't when she put grain in her hands.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
I thought he was talking about the VHS footage. It's grainy.
You ever had a grainy hand job?
Never even heard of it.
Oh, grainy, man.
Bad adjective, but you assholes know what I'm talking about.
That's why it's so funny. I've never heard the saying, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I want to hear more from Professor Kelly over there teaching this college course.
A grain. See, and this is why we can't talk about shit. You say grainy hand job to a bunch of high schoolers, they're not going to learn anything.
They were like sandbags. They were like sandbags.
This is why we can't keep any viewers, because we'll go from like politics to just talking about grainy hand jobs.
Oh
God, this whole thing's gonna be the teaser for this show.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I was trying to make a point. Funny. Apparently, it didn't come across.
I mean, if you were trying to be funny while making a point, you nailed it, because I haven't laughed that hard in a while.
The point is, it's complicated, and I don't think we give enough credence to that. How complicated it is.
Yeah. All right, let's go on to another topic.
Good segue. That was a bit of a grainy segue.
I'll look this up after the show's over when this video is processing. But Matt, I did find that the Kamey Manor, and I actually looked into it. Freaking, you sign a waiver, Mahomes, and they literally freaking torture you for like, I don't know, until you almost die or something. It's bizarre as hell. It's true.
Yes. And people pay to go do it.
And has anyone ever made it out of that, Matt? Like, has anybody ever made it out of that? Because you get like a prize if you do. But
yeah, what they had was a $20,000 prize. For what I read from testimonies, diving into it a little bit deeper, it seems like people have gone as long as they can, but there's always like something like a nurse will come in and say, "Oh shoot, he's not physically fit to finish this out," or like, "This is done." So I don't think anyone's actually gone to the actual prize. But then again, I don't know. It's like a kind of a mystery that people would go through that thing, and the fucking line is, the reservation line is like harder to get than season tickets for the fucking Packers for whatever reason.
Apparently, a waiting list of 27,000 people are waiting to get in. You've had everyone from Marines, cage fighters, cops, bikers, plumbers, clerks, housewives, beauticians. Not sure why that was to be successful jobs there at the end to go through this. None have succeeded. It's just.
Well, from the one I was watching a couple of years ago, they were like literally waterboarding these people, and I was like, "Is this a haunted house or is this Guantanamo Bay?"
Yeah, I think it's just there's some sort of like a sadist that likes to mess with people, and he's like, "Yeah," and then I just bring my wife, who I say is a nurse, and say, "Well, you can't make it. I'm never giving that $20,000 away."
And he knows he never has to. He's like, no one's ever going to make it through this.
So a story, they opened one in Tennessee, Cuts, you were saying, like kind of around Nashville. They had, the original one was in San Diego, and I think they have like two more out there now, obviously, franchise apparently. But anyway, the one in Tennessee, so they start by picking you up, and they don't want you to know where the place is at. So they pick this girl up in a van who wants to go through it. Then they're dragging her by the hair basically into the place. The neighbors hear her screaming and see what's going on. They call the police because like I guess they weren't used to that type of thing, and they're like, "Holy shit, there's something going on here!" Not knowing it was a haunted house, and apparently the town had like a big stink with it. You know, it was just intense like that.
I would have a much bigger issue if someone was like, "So hey, we're doing this haunted house, but it's really we let people pay us and then we torture them to the point where they can't go on anymore." I'd have a much bigger problem with that than doing anything in a funeral home. That's fucked up.
Yeah, and I don't understand the intrigue about it. I mean, I guess I am a little intrigued. Like, it'd be cool to go see the outside of that and maybe start the first 10 minutes or something. But I guess that is where the fear comes from. But it's like to get that $20,000, there should be a time limit. Like, you got to make 2 hours. Is there a time limit on it, Matt?
It's 8 hours. You have to make it through 8 hours.
Oh, fuck that. Yeah, fuck no. I couldn't do it.
It happens over just a weekend too. Like once, so that's why the waiting list is every weekend. It's insanity though. So let's go on to next on the list is this Kyle Rittenhouse is going to trial here finally. So if anybody hasn't watched the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff, basically you had the it was Wisconsin. You had the guy who was had a basically a rap sheet of this girl that he was with that he had sexually abused and all these different things, named Jacob Blake, and he came back to the place and the cops tried to arrest him and everything. So he fought the cops, and he was actually at one point, it even says here in the thing that he was walking around with an open knife in his hand after the cops had tasered him several times, and he's walking to the front of the vehicle where they finally shot him and he became paralyzed or whatever. It's, if you want like examples of police brutality, the Jacob Blake case is fucking pathetic. It's not even, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my entire fucking life, because it is not remotely close to police brutality, but the media lied about it and pushed it like it was and left out a bunch of key details. And so you had these riots in Wisconsin, and Kyle Rittenhouse, 17 years old, decides that he lives down the road in another town, decides he's going to show up where these riots are at in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and he's going to try to help protect his businesses from getting destroyed by these rioters. So he goes there with like a fucking AK-47 or whatever the hell he had. But anyways, I'm going to show the timeline first, and this is just going to trial today, so it's an interesting topic. And I've got my headphones here for a second, and we're going to jump to, this is the best video of it is from ABC News. They did a timeline of the entire thing, and all that you guys watch this right now. You see that?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Here we go. This starts on August 25th, 2020.
2020. Protesters and groups of armed men who said they were there to protect businesses gathered in Kenosha. Among the armed men was then 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse.
We don't have non-lethal.
Using multiple videos obtained and verified by ABC News, as well as the criminal complaint against Rittenhouse filed on August 27th, we put together a detailed timeline of the shootings that happened in downtown Kenosha on August 25th, 2020, 2 days after Jacob Blake was shot by the police. This report contains graphic, disturbing images. At 10:04 p.m., a video shows a group of armed men protecting a car shop at the corner of 59th and Sheridan. One young man in a green t-shirt and backwards baseball cap says, a little over an hour later, protesters gathered at an ultimate gas
Kyle. He said, I'm Kyle, by the way.
Sheridan. We see a man who appears to be Joseph Rosenbaum, one of the shooting victims, clash with armed men also gathered. Back at the car shop at 59th and Sheridan, the same young man who appears to be Kyle Rittenhouse can be seen asking law enforcement for water. And the officers can be heard speaking to the group.
We appreciate you guys, we really do.
At 11:48 p.m., gunshots ring out.
There's a gunshots down there.
First 4 bursts, then 3. A man who police identified as Rittenhouse runs across the parking lot of an auto service shop, followed by a shirtless man who was later identified as Joseph Rosenbaum. Moments later, shots ring out. And the shirtless man falls to the ground. A figure who appears to be Rittenhouse continues running. Seconds later, he comes back into view, and bystanders arrive to help the victim. Rittenhouse can be seen standing by the body, making a phone call. As more people arrive, he runs away out of frame, and someone seems to be heard saying, "I shot somebody." At 11:49, multiple videos show Rittenhouse running down the street as a pursuer tries to hit him. Rittenhouse is being chased by several people when he appears to stumble and fall to the ground. While on the ground, police say he fires at least 4 shots, striking 2 people. Anthony Huber is shot and lies motionless in the street. Gage Grosskreutz is shot in the arm and appears to be holding a handgun, according to the criminal complaint. Rittenhouse gets up and runs down the street as police arrive at the scene. People in the crowd can be heard yelling.
Hey, he just shot up!
Rittenhouse raises his hands while his rifle hangs around his torso, and a number of police vehicles drive past him. He walks towards a squad car which is parked near the First United Methodist Church. This is the last time we see him on video ABC News obtained. Rittenhouse was not arrested that night in Kenosha.
Last night.
All right, so that's the video, guys. The first shooting, if you saw in the videotape, he was being chased down by some white guy throwing like something at him or whatever, and then the guy attacked him, fell to the ground, had a few shots. It was like 3 or 4 shots or something like that. Killed that dude, and then I don't know why he keeps running around with his gun trying to kill people, but he runs down again, he gets tackled again or whatever, and shoots a guy that had a handgun and another guy that was there threatening him. I think based on Wisconsin law, because he is defending himself, like he didn't attack anybody, he got attacked. He just happened to have a gun with him. I think by Wisconsin law, it's clearly self-defense. But what do you guys think of this?
I've never seen that footage before, so I didn't know that much about Kyle Rittenhouse, except for the jokes we made about him, in the roast and all that. But that footage is, I don't know, that's really strange. And it's exceptional footage. Like, it's really good footage for someone running around with whatever gun he had. I don't understand guns, or if that was an AK-47 or whatnot, but it's really, really fucking exceptional footage several times of what he's doing out there. And that makes me just wonder, I don't know. That's, and I lived in Milwaukee for a while, and I've been to Kenosha. So I'm just like, I always try to put myself in that space, like that happened in Deer Lodge, Montana, or Butte or something. You're just running out there with a gun. I don't know. Are the cards stacked against him, or what's the thing?
Well, he's not just running around with a gun per se, because you're looking at a Kenosha. There's massive riots here at the time, so people were burning down buildings and all these things. So the thing was, he went with a group of people and met up with that were trying to prevent buildings from being burnt to the ground. And so they are all armed with guns and stuff to try to prevent certain buildings and try to prevent business from burning down. So that was what they're doing. They're trying to prevent crimes from happening. So they're trying to defend businesses with guns is what they were doing.
And who are they trying to say these people are that were burning the buildings down and rioting in the streets? What's the news say about them? Like, who are they? Just residents? Who are they? They're just
random people rioting. It just sounds like just rioters. I would say that's how they've put them as. The court came out and said they can't call the people that were shot victims. They have to call them something else, because they basically attacked. He was attacked when he had a gun. What do you think of this, Mahomes?
I think, don't put yourself in that situation. That's the easiest thing to do. Like, you don't try and be the police when you're a 17-year-old kid and then say you have non-lethal and then go out and kill people with clearly lethal force. Like, I get that people were like, things were crazy for a while when all the protests were going on, like all over the country. But like, what are you doing inserting yourself in that situation? Nothing good can come from you showing up to a place where riots and like lawlessness are happening while the actual police are in their riot gear and they're like riot cars, and you show up with a basically semi-automatic or automatic weapon strapped around your chest. Like, what the fuck did he think was going to happen? Yeah. Like, you have no authority. So it's stupid. Don't put yourself in a situation where bad shit can happen. Like, show up to a place where you're probably not going to be super welcome with a gun, and nothing good is coming from that. So
it seems like an overreach. just one quick thing. It seems like an overreaction. Like you're right. Why go out on the streets? You're looking for trouble. If there was a riot right outside our house here in Deer Lodge, I would probably stay in my house and be like, okay, if people come here, then we're going to have to deal with it, But I wouldn't run down to Main Street when I know there's gunfire and fires and blah, 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 all this other shit. I wouldn't run down there and put myself in the heart of it. I would just sit in my own home and be like, I hope they don't come here. If they do, shit may go down,
Yeah, I'm saying, isn't it staged, maybe? Like you were saying, totally staged.
Like it's not.
Put yourself in the
heroic. It's fucking idiotic. But I don't know if that's what he was trying to do, but he's a moron.
I think you got to put. I think you have to phrase the question better. Like, what would you do if there's rioters in Deer Lodge and they're gonna and you had Cutler Brothers student or businesses, and would you be and you had like someone like Dan Hiley out there who's not running for mayor, by the way, and I didn't talk to him earlier tonight. What would you do? Like, if he came out there and tried to defend the businesses and accidentally shot somebody, would you be this pissed off and say he's a reckless idiot, or would you be like, I'm thankful that he went out there and tried to protect our businesses?
Yeah, again, if it's our business, it's our property to protect. I don't know. It's just tough because I don't know. I don't think we have all the variables and all the answers, of who was out there and what was going on. Like these Antifa fucks, if they came to Deer Lodge, then it's like, I feel like it's war. Like if it's Deer Lodge residents out there, it's one thing, but I don't know. It's just a very gray area where you don't know exactly what's going on. So you don't know if he's a hero or if he's doing.
No, I mean the literal backstory is they're there with guns to protect businesses. That's what they're. What this happened because it happened. You can go into different. But I mean, I guess my question is: do you believe people should be able to protect their businesses with guns, or do you think they should try, or do you think if people are going to burn down Cutler Brothers Theater, would you think people should be out there protecting it with guns or not?
Yes, I think they should be protecting it.
So then you'd be on the side of people that were out there with guns trying to protect the businesses.
I mean, you should leave it up to the authorities, man. Like they're trained for this stuff. You don't need to go out there. Nothing good is like, because let's say we use this fictional example where it's Dan Hiley and he shoots someone on your property. Guess what? It's your fault now.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be laughing, but yeah, I can totally see that.
There's a big
Mayor Dan, you mean?
There's a big difference too between protecting your home or your business and trying to be a GI Joe, and that's what I'm trying to differentiate. Like, if you're just out there, which we all know, plenty of people who go out and just want to be Mr. Army Man. I don't know. It's a tough thing,
And I could maybe have more sympathy for him if like that he was protecting like his family's business or something, but he was showing up like protecting a building that he has no connections to.
I'm just going to show you. Here's a shot. There's what happened when they just said, let's just leave it up to the authorities to prevent this from all happening. There's a bunch of buildings that we left to the authorities to take care of. Check them out. Man. They're still standing.
That shit happens, dude. Like that's.
I guess my point is like, do you believe in defending businesses? I mean, would you defend your business or knowing that it's going to be burnt down? But I mean, I guess my thing is the authorities aren't going to stop buildings from burning. There's just too many damn things happening. You don't have enough people to prevent things from burning down. So my question still goes back to trying to actually put yourself in that person's place of they're coming down the street. It's Cutler Brothers Theater. The only way you're going to defend your business for a fact is if you actually go out there and defend it. Would you agree that someone could come out there and defend it, or would you rather just see it on fire and leave it up?
I'd say, yeah, defend it. I think we've all had those weird thoughts, especially through COVID, where people are coming in like rioting and all this shit. I'd say, yeah, if that's your last line of defense of defending yourself and your family and all that shit, whatever those people want from you, then yeah,
I'm just saying you can't stereotype this into like some idiot running around with a gun in some random town. That's not what fucking happened.
But kind of, you can.
That's not what happened, though.
You're saying this is like your business. This fucking kid, it's not his business.
I'm saying
he's putting his nose into some shit he didn't need to be involved in.
You'd be mad if someone defended Cutler Brothers Productions Theater and prevent it from being burnt down.
Dude,
that's the situation.
He doesn't know these people. He doesn't know these businesses.
So you don't want someone defending our building because it's going to burn down. That's. I'll tell you what the actual.
Burn your building down right now.
I'll tell you what the actual situation is, and I'm just telling you what the situation is. He went to defend buildings from burning down. I don't think it was bad what they did at all. If our theater is being threatened to be burned to the ground, I'd be pissed off because someone I didn't know decided to go out there and defend it from being burnt down. That was the situation. That's literally what the situation was.
If the scenario, is exactly that, then
that is the exact scenario.
But why is it so publicized, though, is the thing. Like, why is it so publicized? That's what I'm just questioning that part of it. Like, they take this one kid. Was he the only one out there defending businesses with a gun?
No.
You know,
He's
exactly.
the only one that shot somebody. I think that's
why they take him out and they pluck him off the tree and then they just crucify him because he actually shot somebody.
Well, I don't know. The media's not crucified. I'm not blaming the media. I'm just saying what the actual true story is. You know, you should look at what the actual story is. What he did, what happened. If you get riots and people with guns and all this shit, that shit's bound to happen. It's just going to happen. Because my perspective is look at the actual, what I'm trying to say is look at the actual real perspective of it. And if you had a building in one of these places and it was being threatened to be burnt down, your perspective would be a lot different than, oh, I'm pissed that Daniel Heimbach came back to Deer Lodge and prevented the theater from burning down. You wouldn't be fucking pissed and call him an idiot.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And another thing too, it's like in this day and age too, people are more than willing to stand back and just like watch something happen with a cell phone, you know what I'm saying? Than actually step in and do something. You've seen that so much footage throughout the year. So this is just one more of those events where, people are going to fucking document this shit, whether it's whatever, you know, conspiracy or not.
And Cano, it wasn't like he drove from like fucking, he didn't drive from say like Nebraska all the way up to like Wisconsin to like, this was like, he was like a neighborhood across our town. If you live out in these cities and stuff, there's townships, there's all kind of, where you're kind of connected to all these different areas where, so he might've known people there. I don't know his whole backstory there, but it wasn't some random location. Like it drove way across all these states to try to like defend a building that he had no relation to or nothing at all.
Well, Pat, to answer your question really quick about, defending our property or whatever, then yes, like if that was actually happening here, then yes, we would defend it and we get people rallied around that to defend it, because there was a point in COVID, like, and I'll admit, where we thought like these rioters, they said they're coming across Coeur d'Alene, they're coming across Montana, and we were expecting them here. I think they came into Missoula. We were expecting them here. And if they came in, we were legitimately talking about like putting people on the roof of our business to defend it 100%. Sometimes you got to get rid of the, you know, the pleasantries and shit like that. And you got to do what you got to do. I'm just wondering, like I just want the entire fucking story of this. And I guess that's what's coming out in this court case, because is it over centralized? Is it over, publicized? Because Kyle Rittenhouse, that's the only name you ever hear. And there's probably, if it was just him, there's probably 50, 100.
Say, if we're having these thoughts in Deer Lodge, because like you'd have people completely on board in a fucking 2,000 person town, then definitely you'd have it in these fucking million.
Oh, should he cut out? Okay, what I was going to say is that until what Mahomes is trying to say is there's nothing over sensationalized in this. Nothing. The media has covered this exactly as is. There's absolutely nothing. But that video, that is literally it. That's it. I'm just saying you have to understand the perspective of it. The perspective, if it happened, is different. But there's nothing. It is what it is on video. You can cast your own opinion. But that literally, there's nothing being over centralized or lied to or anything. That is the actual video, and you have to sit there and say, is that self-defense or not self-defense? That's the argument.
Well,
I think the biggest thing he has going against him is he's like, if he had gone up there with rubber bullets, which I still think I just have a hard time putting myself in that situation. Like, I just don't go in situations where bad things can happen, I guess, is how I've been taught to live my life in my whole life. So that's, and like obey the law in general is, I'm pretty keen on that. But like if he had rubber bullets and he knew like non-lethal, like clearly he said he had non-lethal and he was clearly loaded with bullets that kill people. Like that's,
and
that's not good. That's not a good sign.
I don't, again, this is a weird thing. I don't really necessarily agree with what he did. I just think understanding kind of where he's coming from or whatever, it makes sense if you look at it from his perspective of like, I'm not going to let, this isn't like, it's not a situation where you have like months to plan this. It's kind of like, what do I have? I'm going to defend these buildings. What do I have? And it's like, oh, I'll take my AK-47. I'll put non-lethal bolts. I'll take a couple of grenades.
Yeah. So what's going on in the actual court case? Like, where are they? What are they saying right now? I haven't followed it at all. So what's going on there?
Let me just back this up a little bit. They just started it today, so it's just really interesting.
And they're trying to get him for manslaughter or what?
So what? It's opening arguments or just like
it is
introduced him or
literally the opening arguments basically. Yesterday, it started. They ruled that they couldn't call the people victims. So like yesterday, it looked like the opening trial began, and it's literally today was day 2 of it.
Well, why couldn't they call them victims? Because they were out there rioting? Why that?
In court terms, it's like how you label something in a court's really kind of important. I don't know why they would outlaw using the name victims. I don't know why they would make that illegal, because I think you can label anybody however you want to label them. I wouldn't personally look at a victim as someone that's literally attacking somebody. I wouldn't look at that as like a victim. But court lingo, the judge can outlaw words just like evidence. It can outlaw an account of something if you're in a courtroom and you say something that's like clearly false, like they faked the moon landing.
Well, it's mainly like you can take away stuff that's leading. So if you immediately call them victims, even though the people themselves were potentially committing a crime, depending on how it all shakes out, you could be leading the jury panel if you identify them as victims right away. The main.
I guess, Kelly, my perspective is just going back to that video is that legally, I think they're prosecuting this because of politics, to tell you the truth. And the reason I say that is because it's hard to make an argument that wasn't self-defense, especially according to Wisconsin law. He was attacked multiple times. The second time he fell down, I don't know if you saw it or not, but the guy hit him with the head of the skateboard, and the other guy had like a handgun, whatever. But both times he's being attacked. I mean, he's not attacking anybody; he's being attacked. So the self-defense law, I just think they're going to trial for politics to sit there and say, let's prevent another riot by actually saying this. But I don't see how they can get anything on this because it was clearly self-defense. He got knocked down and attacked, and he shot a couple of people in both situations. It wasn't. You don't see any video of him stalking his prey and going out there and trying to kill people. So
yeah,
I think it's a hard case.
You really got to look at Wisconsin law on this, because laws are so different state to state. Some states have a law, where breaking and entering, you can literally shoot, you can kill the person coming into your home, your property. That's an extension of yourself. That's a piece of yourself. But every state's so fucking different. I don't know how liberal or conservative Wisconsin law is, but that's what they're looking at right now. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, on a just normal us talking level, I think if people are burning down buildings in my hometown, then it's all fair game. It's like, everything's off the board. There is obviously no law, and you need to do what you got to do to protect yourself. And if they're burning down buildings, how the fuck do you know they don't know people aren't inside, Maybe they're burning down people inside. Maybe they're literally killing people, So it's like the law becomes very vague because there's not a lot of laws on the books that say, hey, if you burn down this person's city, they can kill you. It's a very vague gray area. And I think they're going to have a tough time at trial. I hope that nothing bad happens to him. I hope that he doesn't go to prison or anything, because I think that in his head, he was doing the right thing. And the circumstances were really, really fucking shitty for that. Now, if he was just running down the streets of Kenosha and firing away because he's like, yeah, fuck the government, that's a different thing. But they were literally provoking this shit in a big, big manner. And you can't just sit here and let people burn you to the ground and maybe come in your house and kill you and your wife and kids. You know, you just can't sit back and watch that happen.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, you know, if, when riots do happen again, because it will happen again. Like, how many people are going to start doing this stuff where it's like, and this is I don't know how the situation differs from the other riots or whatever, but clearly people are already prepared. Let's skim over one last topic here really quick. This affected Mahomes' fantasy team this weekend. Mental health and in sports, professional athletes, like, where are we at with that now? If you guys haven't read, here's a couple headlines just on the couple ones that were publicly known this week. Lane Johnson suffered from anxiety. He had overdosed on anxiety pills or got off his anxiety pills. Offensive tackle for the Eagles, had to sit out the first 3 weeks of the season because his anxiety was so out of control once he got the medication. Calvin Ridley, wide receiver for the Falcons, is now on a non-injury break to fix his mental health, and set out this past week out of nowhere. And now you have Ben Simmons, who is sitting out the first, who knows how long, for the Philadelphia 76ers for mental health. So, Mahomes, what do you think about, are we in a mental health crisis, or is this just something that's always been going on that's now just coming to light now that we have awareness about it?
I think people are just more open to talking about it now, instead of just trying to, like, you know, the old, like, 1930s, 40s stereotype male, like, I'm just grin and bear it, you know, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I don't care if you're sad. Boys don't cry, all that stuff you hear. I think people understand, like, there's chemical imbalances and stuff now that we're just more aware of it. And so I think we'll probably see it a lot more now, especially, like, the higher up you get, I'm sure the more stress you have and the more, like, self-doubt comes in if you have a bad game, or there's, you know, potentially your whole family is relying on you for a paycheck, like extended family. So you feel all the extra pressure. It's a weird deal, man. I definitely you never know what anyone's going through. And the older I get, the more I understand that, and the less judgmental I am of it, because everyone's got their own story and everyone deals with things differently. But it's certainly, I don't know, it seems to be like this mass awakening, or maybe it was just there the whole time and people buried it with drugs and alcohol, and that's why you see all these, you know, young NFL players getting in trouble or dying young because they abuse drugs in such a way. I don't know. I'm no medical expert, but I know the older I get, the more I understand, like, everyone's got their own story, so don't be a fucking prick.
Yeah, what do you think about this, Kelly?
Well, I agree with what Mahoney said. I mean, yeah, mental health, I think, is a thing. Like, you legitimately have to walk away from some stuff and go get some air and just get the fuck away from society and go out with your family and just be yourself and figure out who you are. But on the flip side, you are working a job, you're getting paid for this. Somebody is literally, like, handing you money to do something. If you can't do it, you can't do it, period. And I know that sounds harsh, but it's just true. It's like, I give you $100 to mow my lawn, you mow half it and go, I'm having a mental health day, I can't finish it. Well, give me my fucking money back. I paid you to do a job and you're not doing it. And no, it's not about money, but you are taking something, like, you are in a contract taking something from somebody else to do a job, and then you don't complete it. I don't, because you can have a mental health day on anything. Like, if we keep going down this road, you can say that about anything. Yeah, well, you know, I really need 3 months off from my teaching job to go spend it with my kids, and they got to pay you for that. It's fucked up to me. If you need 3 months off, take 3 months off, but why are we responsible to finance that, you know?
Yeah. For me personally, and I kind of side with both perspectives, is I have to ask this question: is how do you define this? How much of this is really like a mental health type issue or something's really wrong with the person? And how much is it someone just doesn't want to just fucking kind of man up and lace them up and just go out there and play? Like, that's
the problem.
Like, how do you tell the difference?
And I think it's tough, to Kelly's point, when people are under contract. I think you have to seek actual professional medical help of people that can give you a proper diagnosis. You can't just, I don't think you can outright say, like, hey, I need to focus on myself right now. Like, okay, you're that's okay to say you need help. Let us get you the proper help so we can like get this, diagnosed, get you whatever you actually need, all the proper help that you need, instead of just like, to Kelly's point, like I need to get out of the country for a couple months with my family. That's not really, that's not really the same thing. But if people ask for help, I'm all for giving them help. Just like do it the right, go through the proper channels.
We have last thing, we have contracts for a reason though. It's like this contract states you will do this for this. It's like you can't break it. That's the reason you have a contract, because for my mental health, I need you to mow my goddamn lawn. You can't just not do that if I'm giving you the money, unless I state in the contract, okay, halfway through the lawn, he could take a 2-hour break to go find out who he is, or, relax or whatever. If that's not in the contract, then it just can't happen. I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, I think the other part I'd look at is like, I'm not an expert on this, but just based on experiences I had with people that go check that feel whatever, and they go to see doctor. It doesn't seem like it's that hard for a doctor these days to prescribe somebody antidepressants. Like, it seems like it's a very fucking easy thing to do, because how you can go there and just say that you're depressed, fill out the whole thing that you're depressed. And how do you really tell if someone's depressed or not depressed? Because you can just say and act like you're depressed, and they're going to give you the pills and medication or anything you want. So it's, I don't know, because there's just times where it's just like, for me personally, it's like, man, I'm like an introvert. I don't always want to go out in public, but it's like, okay, it's better off if you actually do go out and just not sit inside like your own little bubble all day. It's like, are we becoming a society now where we can get porn on demand on your computer? You can get video games on demand, movies on demand. Are we becoming a society where it's just so much easier just to say, you know what, fuck it, I quit. I'll just go home, sit in my box, watch TV, and do nothing all day.
Yeah. And I mean, look at all the green cards handed out. I know so many people, with their medical marijuana card, and they have nothing wrong with them. They're just fat and lazy, and they don't want to work. I mean, I don't know how to sugarcoat that one. It's just like, you're 26 years old. Get the fuck off your ass, because you don't have to go dig ditches. You can work a lot of jobs where you can literally sit on your fat and lazy ass and still be high while doing it. It's ridiculous. Like, if you don't want to do something, you don't have to, but why are we responsible for that? It's like, you're not contributing to society. You're not helping in any way. We're trying to build a snow fort, in the backyard, and you want to live in it or play in it for free after watching us build it all day. It's this high off your ass. It's the same exact concept.
And I mean, I just don't think anyone who's high should be in an igloo. Like, that's not going to end well, man. That's not a good combination.
You get what I'm saying, though. It's just, it's a tough place.
It is a tough situation. I don't know. I mean, there's been times not all that long ago where I wasn't like super happy. And I don't I wasn't suicidal, but I knew I wasn't like in a great space mentally. And what do you don't, for me, I didn't want to be like asking for help, because it's like, I don't know, that's kind of a pussy thing to do. And maybe that's the wrong mentality. Maybe I should have just been like, reached out to one of you guys and been like, hey man, I'm not like, I'm going through some stuff right now. I just need to like talk through it or whatever. And I didn't do that. And I probably drank more beer than I needed to. And that was kind of how I solved it. And I think everyone at some point in their life goes through it. And I don't know if I mean, for me, you can kind of get, like I talked about before, is you can kind of get in this spiral where like you're just so focused on the negative. And really, I just kind of, that's where it came from, is just like focus on the positive, like name 10 good things every day. And it's easier to stay positive when you focus on the good shit instead of just getting like caught up with all the negative nonsense.
And to be clear, I'm not trying to make light of like depression and the mental health we're talking about. I'm not trying to make light of it. I know that it's out there. We all have suffered from it from time to time, or still suffer from it or whatnot. It's just, we know that enabling is a death sentence, and we got to stop enabling people from the state government, the federal government. We got to stop handing out those excuse cards, because what's best for people is, okay, you wake up and the government's giving you $50 a day. What's the point in getting out of bed? Go get me McDonald's. Go get me what I need. I'm going to watch Netflix, the best thing for them is giving them an excuse. They have to get out of bed, take a step forward, and do something. That is literally the best thing that's going to be there for their positive mental health. So I'm not making light of it. I'm just saying we got to handle it in a completely different way.
Yeah, and I know what Mahone said. I think we've all gone through there. You know, all of us. Matt has gone through there every night. You do the Prison City podcast, and he gets off early. But
I think his phone died tonight.
I think all of it, especially as you get older. But I think the great things that corporations that like McDonald's and social media and all these things, they put such a paradigm on it where those same things are so great are really fucking toxic. Like I've consciously cut out Facebook. I've consciously cut out watching the news. Like I just sit there and like, man, I just feel like shit after I look at all this stuff. I feel like complete shit. And it's like, why am I doing this? So like for me personally, and that's me kind of being a little bit of an introvert, is like when I'm able to get some time to myself and just spend time on myself, reading books, educating myself, doing those things, not just sitting there watching Netflix all day or video games all day or whatever. I never really last that long in porn. So porn only would take about 15 minutes for me. But I don't know. It's weird. It's like, it's depressing being alone by yourself. Like I was in the last, but it's also like, fuck, I got a bunch of time just to work on myself, meditate, read books. It gave me a lot of time to just really just kick things back into gear. And then COVID hit and whatever. But yeah, things are great. I pull out a gun and shoot my brains out.
We have always lived in a risk reward society, and we need to return to that. There shouldn't be rewards for doing nothing. You know, you really should have to work for, which most people can. There's very, very few, a fraction of 1% can't work. We got to take care of them. Okay. Outside that, everybody can contribute to society. And when you go out and you pick up a shovel, or you give someone their fries at McDonald's, or you teach a class as a teacher or something, there's the reward of getting your money. And you feel so good that you gave a contribution to society. And we need to get back to that shit. I think that's where mental health stems from.
I want to add one more thing that Mahone says. Like he wrote down like 10 things, where he said 10 things he was thankful for. Is like, my biggest piece of advice for anybody that's depressed or anything is like, man, pick up a notebook and write down, just really spend some time and write down the things in your life that just feel really fucking good. Or better yet, imagine what would feel really good to you, like just feeling wise, like what accomplishment or ideal world or setting or dream, what would feel really fucking good to you? And start writing those things down on a piece of paper, and then write them down every single day and start thinking about the things that feel really, really good. Because what happens, and again, go with Mahomes, when you start to focus on all the fucking negative shit, you're creating your own reality. That's just the fact of the matter is you're creating your own reality. You don't have to have the car to be, or the girl or whatever to be happy. Just imagining that in your mind that you already have it. And that's why they call it law of attraction. You get the same level of happiness than not having it at all. Mm-hmm. And that's why I just have to admit, I am completely addicted to casting these spells. I'm just gonna that's I'll check myself into rehab for that, maybe.
Yeah, you have to do things that, and we've all done it, you have to do things that are uncomfortable. Like the more uncomfortable you are in life, Pat said it, I've known it, and an old friend of mine told me this 10 years ago, the more uncomfortable you are, you're on the right track, because most people aren't willing to fucking do that. Most people aren't willing to do those uncomfortable things that make you successful. And we've all done some very uncomfortable things in your life.
I'll tell you tonight. I'll just last example here, then we'll round the horses here. Is Mahomes obviously knows by now that we had the Chamber of Commerce meeting tonight for our local businesses and awards and Deer Lodge here. And tonight, after doing all that marketing, and I put myself out there and just pushed the marketing for Creepshow as hard as I possibly could on Facebook, then we did the news story and everything else. It was very awkward walking into that thing tonight, because I wonder if people are going to be pissed or what they're going to say or whatever else. It's very, but then fuck, you do it. It's not a big deal. At the end of the night, I felt great. I mean, obviously you didn't when you started this show off, but I felt great about what happened tonight.
I thought it was awesome, man. It's almost like you got celebrity status. You just do something that's outside of the norm. And then people will talk shit, and then when they see you in public, they're like, "That's the guy that fucking did that thing," It's just roll with it, man.
As you know, we were like the biggest fucking name in like all of most of Western Montana or whatever this whole past week because of the Creepshow. But yeah, I thought tonight was so cool just being out, seeing people. To me, being happy for other people getting awards is like my favorite thing. I don't really like receiving awards myself, but when I see other people do it in person, I think that's really fucking cool to cheer other people on and to cheer their successes up. And we had a lot of good moments tonight with different businesses and people who retired. Mahomes, RNC, they retired tonight. If you didn't know that, they sold their business. He might have cut off. Mahomes is gone. Well, I guess let's
round them pigeons.
Let's round those horses. All right, Kelly, give you the final word here. I think Mahomes' phone died, so it's just been.
Honestly, I got to put my thoughts together. So if you can have Matt or Mahomes go first, that'd be great. I don't know. We've kind of talked about a whole smorgasbord of shit tonight, so I don't really know what to say. But get out there. We ended on mental health, so get out there. And there's Mahoney. Welcome back.
We're around the horses. Kelly's around the first horse here.
Yeah, the first horse is coming around the track, Mahoney.
Okay, I think my Wi-Fi just died, like in the middle of what you guys were talking about. So
yeah.
Anyway,
well, you also killed the conversation, so thanks.
You killed the gifted horse.
Hey, don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah. So we ended with mental health, and just if you're listening to this, get out there and do stuff because. If you take one step forward and you make one phone call or you just go out there and take one step towards your dreams, you already just beat most of the population. And I'm not even fucking joking. It's so fucking sad that that's where we're at. But trust me, get off your ass and go, I always wanted to own a bakery. Good. Get up, make a call, do it, find a building, just do some tiny step today and then do a bigger step tomorrow, a bigger step the next day. You will be so fulfilled in life instead of just, taking your check and going, I'm so depressed. Everyone feels sorry for me. Don't do it. Everybody's depressed. Everyone's been through it. Don't do it. Be the bigger person and go out there and be a leader in society.
And Mahomes, your final word.
I think I got to agree with what Kelly said. Like, if you want to not be depressed, own a bakery. You know what I mean? Like, go buy a bakery and that'll solve it.
Hey, and as soon as you get your bakery, you're gonna get so many grainy hand jobs.
No, but for real. Sorry, I shouldn't. I mean, I can joke because I said I've been through it myself. If you're ever feeling like super alone or whatever, like call somebody. Like, someone cares, no matter how much you think they don't. If anyone's still listening to this and got through all our nonsense, like someone gives a shit, reach out. I can't even remember what we talked about. I'm going to go ask my wife if she knows anything about this Goop stuff. My head is swimming with that. I have so many questions.
You can be a Goop doctor, Maybe that's your dream in life. Be a Goop doctor.
Yeah, a Goop doctor who owns a bakery. That's my next.
You know who invented Goop, Mahoney? It was Sean Guppinger. His name was Guppy in high school. He invented Goop.
Yeah, and look at him living his best life.
All right, is that it?
That's it, man. That's all I got.
Okay. I did not see the Goop ending there.
I didn't see the whole Goop story coming at all today.
So my final statement is, life itself is eternal. It really is. You're going to live forever. I honestly think if you did commit suicide, you just end up back in this world anyway. So there's no point in even trying. now we're getting really depressed. That came out wrong. That's how I would say it.
Don't try it though.
My other point was like, you should figure out what you really want to do because you are here for a long time and everybody tells you you go up against the grain a lot of the grainy hands in your face. And life sometimes does feel like a grainy hand job. It's just like the force and stuff. You're going up against this force. It's just not working because the grains are like the people telling you can't do it and how you should live your life. And basically my thought is like, tell me situations where like people say you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that. And then you're like, man, I've done all that. I got the house, got the kids, got the car, got the job. Everything is like, why am I still not happy? Why are things still not, people think that they get married, they have kids, they get a house, and they have a job, and they just ride off into the fucking sunset. That's how every movie ends, but what happens after that? Like life keeps fucking going no matter what you do. So it's like, you might as well pursue your dreams, because if you did it when you're in your 20s, then you wouldn't be where you are in your 30s. If you did it when you're, in your 30s, you wouldn't be where you are in your 40s. So at some point you got to say, I don't give a fuck what happens. I'm going to pursue my dreams no matter what the rest of my entire life, because that's all there is really at the end of the day. Like life is eternal. If Mahomes decided to quit his job in Nebraska, leave his wife and kids, and become a circus clown because that's his passion in life, I wouldn't stop him. But if that's what someone's passionate about, who the fuck am I to tell them what they should be passionate about or not? So, my thing is, go out there, live your dreams, and goop it up, right?
Goop, yeah.
And scrape the grains off your dick.
And scrape those grains off your fucking cock.